Hello, Internet. I hope everybody is having a fantastic Sunday evening. I got a little overzealous today. I got about 4 hours worth of stuff pulled up, which I'm totally not going to get through because I'm not doing more than 2 hours. I refuse to. Yeah, I've had a rough week. Last Monday, I crashed my car on Highway 17. Yeah, my 79 Chrysler. It is not drivable. And then my dog either got bit by a rattlesnake or a black widow or had a really bad reaction to getting stung by a bee. I don't know. Something. She got super sick. Her legs swelled up like 3 times the size of normal. Been in and out of the vet for like the last 3 days. Total of like 5 vet visits, I think. $1,500 just for my. Oh yeah, it was. It's been a week. It's been a week, folks. But hope everybody's having a better week than I had, and hope you're having a great Sunday. So, as many of you guys know, Virginia Giuffre, who is I'll just pull up her picture really quick. She probably has the most infamous Epstein photo where she's who is Prince Charles? Is that no, not Prince Charles. I don't know, one of the British princes that she took the picture with, and Ghislaine Maxwell's in the background. Let's see. Go over to this picture here. So you guys remember this girl here? She's she apparently committed suicide, allegedly. Even though about 6 years ago, she said out on I don't know if this was Twitter or Facebook or whatever, she said she said, I make publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I suicidal. I have made this known to my therapist and general practitioner. I assume that's what GP means. If something happens to me, in the sake of my family, do not let this go away and help me to protect them. Too many evil people want to see me quieted. So she allegedly committed suicide this week, and that sent me back down the Epstein rabbit hole. Not really. I just wanted to talk about it, and then I can't just like casually bring up Epstein because it goes so deep. There's so much. It's not just a human trafficking thing. And if you ask most people, even people that don't pay attention to anything, like people you work with, they know about Epstein. They know the name. They associate it with like human trafficking and all sorts of horrible crimes, but they don't really think that it's much more than that. They don't think that it's deeper than that. Just that he was a human trafficker for wealthy elites. That's just sort of what they leave it at. It's so much deeper than that. It goes so much further than that. And it ties into so many other things. So I could just casually talk about how this woman allegedly committed suicide. I had to bring up a whole bunch of stuff. So Whiskey Reaper, yes, the rabbit hole certainly does go deep. I am getting really sick of my headphone situation because I can't hear like anything from. Can you guys hear me okay? It's driving me sort of insane. I can't hear my own voice, but apparently you guys hear me. If my audio sounds screwed up, just let me know in the comments. So we're going to talk about a whole bunch of Epstein stuff tonight. What's funny is I wasn't even really planning on talking about this much, but I kept pulling up things and I was like, oh yeah, and that reminds me of this. So I want to talk about that too. Oh yeah, that reminds me of this, and I want to talk about that too. So now I got a whole probably like an hour, maybe even 90 minutes worth of Epstein stuff that I'm going to get into. But it all started with Virginia Giuffre, I believe is how you pronounce her name, allegedly committing suicide, even though she said she wouldn't. So we'll get into it, folks. Nice to see you, Whiskey Reaper. Good to see you. If you guys are hanging out, drop something in the comments, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and let's just get right into it, folks. So this is from Shadow of Ezra. Before I start going down the Epstein rabbit hole and going over things that we've already known, but maybe some of you guys don't. I want to talk about it anyway. We'll play a couple of clips. This is from this is a mother of another Epstein victim. This is from Shadow of Ezra. He says, Jeffrey Epstein survivors are being picked off one by one, and Virginia Giuffre wasn't the first to die under suspicious circumstances. Carolyn Adriana was a whose powerful testimony helped put Ghislaine Maxwell behind bars, was found dead in a hotel room a couple of years ago. Her mother has openly questioned the medical examiner's ruling that it was just an accidental overdose. All she wanted was justice for her daughter and the real answers about what truly happened. So we can only speculate on why so many former Epstein victims are apparently dying off, but I'm sure you guys are sort of on the same page I am. So let's play this clip from her mother. Sorry, I want to make sure I know her name again. This is Carolyn Adriana's mother, who Carolyn allegedly died of a drug overdose. So let's play this clip really quick here.
A wreck, because she would disappear out of shame.
Authorities declared her daughter Carolyn dead due to an overdose in May of last year. She left behind 5 children and her mother. The only person somewhat responsible was Jeffrey Epstein, who committed suicide in jail.
I couldn't even sleep in my room because I've got all Carolyn's artifacts of memories we made. And I said to my son, I said, I can't sleep in my own room. All I see is Carol. Who's going to fix that?
Now that more than 150 names of persons associated with Epstein have been revealed, a sense of hope invades her and only wishes that those responsible face justice, even though she still has to live without her daughter.
I was literally robbed. I was raped. I was literally raped. And those men need to know that. Not only did you rape our children, but you raped their mothers. It goes up a family tree. And they need to know that. They need to be held responsible for it.
All right. So as if human trafficking wasn't bad enough, because that's in and of itself is a horrible crime, you know, promising attractive young women, many of them underage, that they'll help them get through college, they'll help them get into certain schools, help them with modeling agencies, all that kind of thing, and then sort of catfishing them into essentially being prostitutes for extremely wealthy individuals. As if that's not bad enough, there's a lot more to it than that, because this was a giant sexual blackmail scheme. A lot of people, I know most of you guys know this, but it wasn't Epstein that came up with this idea. And he wasn't the first person to do this, and he's certainly not the last. And it's still going on right now. P. Diddy comes to mind, but that's not the only one. And now I wish there's another clip that I would have pulled up with someone that was essentially a sex slave over in Europe, who was recently on the Patrick Bet-David podcast, and he was such a shitbag in that interview. He sort of, it was more like an interrogation. It was horrible. I can't remember her name. I wish I had the clip pulled up, but she's talking about it was one of I want to say it was one of the Rockefellers that she was sort of pimped out to, and then also Justin Trudeau's father. So, well, his who everybody is told is Justin Trudeau's father, not Fidel Castro. Okay, so we'll keep going here. We got so this clip came out. It's certainly interesting, and it's directed straight at Pam Bondi, but this one's very interesting, folks. So this is from the Skiff, the Intel Skiff. Diddy Epstein trafficking survivor Ali Carter emerges with a new video pleading with AG Pam Bondi to release the Epstein list and documents, and states that she wants her name unredacted on all information, and releases CPS case file docket numbers and other names she went by in an attempt to help the Epstein and Diddy cases. How many more survivors and children need to be put at risk? Ali Carter's affidavit of truth. Ali Carter's affidavit of truth, April 25th, 2024, which is pictured in this post, relates to a Playboy Mansion after party held in Simi Valley, California. That took place sometime in 2009 to 2010. that she was trafficked and raped along with numerous other children who were also trafficked and abused as well. Some big names in this affidavit include Brian Christopher Williams, aka Birdman/Baby. I don't know who that is. Denzel Hayes Washington Jr. I'm assuming that's Denzel Washington's son, even though Denzel seems like one of the good guys. Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy. Josiel Amon Robinson, aka Young Jock. I imagine that's a rapper that I probably should know who it is, but I don't. It's time to drop the list and get the ball rolling. So I'm going to play this clip, but before I play it, I'm going to read like what the affidavit says, because the clip's under here, and then there's the affidavit up top, and it's from State of California, County of Los Angeles. Her name, Alice Leilani Carter. This is April 25th, 2024. That's the date of the affidavit. So this is just her testifying, essentially. The names I just read, Sean Combs, Denzel Hayes Jr., Brian Christopher Williams, and Giselle Amon, I don't know his name, aka Young Jock. The Playboy Mansion after party held in Simi Valley, California around 2009 to 2010. Allison Carter. I'm just going to read the highlighted parts. Playboy Mansion after party attended by Birdman, Denzel, Diddy, Young Jock. My date of birth is 2/15/1994, and this party was on or around the date mentioned above. So 2010, 2011, something like that. I'm sorry, 2009, 2010. At the top here, it says, at this party, there were body cakes, which means that the kids lie on a table, people would put food on them, and the party goers would eat off the naked kids. There were a lot of celebrities at this party. So if this is in 2009 or 2010, and she was born in 94, so that makes her, what, 16, 17 years old at the time? Once everyone was searched inside, the DJ sounded the music and the lights flashed, signaling that everyone was in and the doors were closed. This signaled that the orgy could begin. The kids had been bought at the party were bought to be party favors. Favors means that the kids are literally set on the table and had to wait for people to come choose them for sex. Once they were done having sex, the kids would be put back on the party favor table, and someone else could then come pick them out from the table and repeat the process. I had to have sex with so many people that night. I cannot remember all of them, and some of the others hold those memories. Jesus. Partygoers went into sexual frenzy orgy mindset once the DJ started the music and turned on the flashing lights. There were fetishes happening everywhere, and they kind of separated them into areas where specific fetishes were happening. For instance, the fetish of having sex in blood was in one area, while having sex with animals was in another area. People were just in crazed and sexual frenzy. Jesus. When the music started, I was sitting at the party favor table. The main room was big, like a ballroom. They were outlying doors around the edges of the room. Some of the doors were shut, but you could still see the food sex table, the party favor table, and many other things. There were different types of sexual parties happening in different areas of the house. I had to sit on the party favor table and wait to be chosen. The way someone would be chosen was by a gift bag off the table at a birthday party. Two guys took me to the table. Okay, I think she's talking about something else there. I'm going to skip to the next slide because it's cut off. Can't read the top part. He also wore a gold chain. He was complaining that he did an hour set, but there was no one to fuck backstage. This comedian broke the no anal sex rule and had anal sex with me anyway and just laughed. I screamed for my handler/pimp. Everyone was laughing and I ended up getting in trouble. I was then told to have sex on the table with the girl who was my age. Then they brought in donkeys and burros, or donkeys and burros, the same thing, and we had to have sex with them. There were several girls that had to have sex with animals while everyone watched. Another girl and I ended up throwing up after afterward, and they rubbed our faces in each other's vomit as punishment. Okay, so that's quite the testimony. And, you know, this is just I don't want to disparage her, but it is, you know, it's her word on an affidavit, and this appears to be, you know, 15 years later that she's making these statements. But I'm also not going to discount what she's saying either. Just, you know, this is just her telling what happened. So I got this. This is a 8-minute long video. I don't want to play the whole thing, but I do want to start at it's around the 2-minute mark, and it's just when she starts talking directly to Pam Bondi, saying that she wants her files redacted. So I'm going to play.
I'm asking you to unredact Allie's information and release it to the public so that they can see the evil that is being done and they can protect their own children.
Pam Bondi, this is my verbal contract to you. My name is Allison Leilani Ray Carter, and I give you full consent to unredact my name in any trafficking ledger that you find, especially to connect it to any of the islands. I volunteer for you to unredact my name and dig into my CPS files for CPS corruption out of Riverside County, California, Child Protective Services. Majority of the names that you'll find in Child Protective Services file will also probably show up in the trafficking ledgers. Those ledgers are insanely detailed. I know some people don't even understand what a ledger means. It's what people are considering or calling the Epstein Black Book. That Black Book has information of when a child was sold, where, what outfit they had on, what time, where they came from, if they came from Child Protective Services custody, if they were a missing child, if they came from over the border, if the child is sick, if how much exactly they were sold for. Everything is in those ledgers. We're doing a very good job protecting predators, and if you guys can please, I'm begging you to do a little bit of better of a job protecting the children. There's nobody doing that. Nobody's talking about the children. Nobody wants to stay on this topic and stay on this subject. And I'm begging you on behalf of every survivor, dead and alive, to please do something, anything, right now. So I volunteer. If you can unredact my name, well, I have died so many times dealing with the things that I've dealt with. We have had so many issues in the last 5 years that every time that we decide to slap down a receipt, a case number, we gave our child ID number, we will give you whatever you need. I know you already have it, but we will volunteer whatever you need. But at the same time, we have many people that come our way for interviews, podcasts, and so much more. And we've stopped so many people because we're like, is that going to do anything for this war that's happening right now? That all sounds great and dandy, but what does that mean for the war right now? We're tired. We're frustrated, just like everyone.
So I'm curious what she means by that. Is she saying that she's been approached by podcasts and for interviews and things, and she's turned them down because she doesn't think that'll do anything? I mean, I think that's the most important thing, is to tell your story on as many big platforms as you possibly can. Like, that's how this kind of stuff changes, is the more people knowing about it and the virality of social media. You know, there's obviously high-level authority figures that were wrapped up in all this Epstein and Diddy stuff. And you might be wondering, like, why she's talking about a Diddy party here. Why is she talking about the Epstein Black Book? Because it's the same shit. Diddy and Epstein were doing the same job. Who knows if they were working for the same people, but they weren't the tip of the spear. They weren't the ones calling the shots and running the show. They were just the orchestrators of all this. And they happened to be good at this horrific shit that they did. So, Epstein apparently was, the politicians, heads of industry, and, highly influential people in the political world. And then Diddy was apparently doing the same thing, but in the entertainment world, in the rap world, in the Hollywood world, that kind of thing. So, yeah, same stuff.
Everybody else in the world right now. So if you could please do your job, do something, anything right now. You have my full permission to release my name.
All right. So that's all I'm going to play from that video. But so you might be wondering, like, why would they be doing this? And, trying to get the sexual blackmail aspect of it. Why would they want to get sexual blackmail over, whoever? I'm going to actually skip this video really quick, and I'm going to go right to this one. So this is kind of what's his name? This dude is Ali Vegas. Yeah, I believe this guy's name is Ali Vegas. And he's sort of explaining how this goes down in the rap world and what it's used for, what the sexual blackmail is used for. And yeah, I'll let this one play. This is from Dom Luker. It says developing hip hop fans have been addressing the conspiracy of satanic sex blackmail on the internet recently. On May 26, 21, the New York rapper Smart exposed how some artists in the music industry are drugged and raped before they sign their contract and satanic worship. Okay. Oh, sorry. I accidentally stopped sharing here. Let me go back. So, Matty Bracco, Nicaea, Terry Wallace. I know this is crazy wild. Whiskey Reaper, bring the car to Cars and Coffee in Willow Glen and Maine. Car's not drivable right now, man. The thing is wrecked. It's pretty bad. I found the parts that I need. They're hard to find. So I don't know. It'll cost me like $1,500 to get the parts. So I'll have to save up for it. But I gotta buy. I'm doing the perpetual rental car right now. It's I'm sort of hemorrhaging money. So we'll keep going here. Let me go over to Dom Luker. So let's play this quick video. There's a lot of cursing. It's it's not for sensitive ears, but we're well past that. So check out how he talks about how sexual blackmail is used in the rap world.
They got rituals to see. You got the right one.
I don't know about
I'm a kid.
rituals.
I never sold myself.
See,
I never did no gay shit. So I don't feel uncomfortable saying about it. What I told you, the devil's job is to take as many souls as possible. The music industry is satanic. When I say it's still the same gatekeepers, what I mean by that is a company called Vivendi. Period. Vivendi. Y'all can Google that. Vivendi owns Viacom. It's umbrella companies. This motherfuckers, this shit don't change, right? That's one. Two, with the music business, once they see you got potential to be influential over the masses, so when they get proposition and they see a car.
So he said something very important right there. Once they see that you're influential over the masses, when your voice says, I'm supporting this person for this office, example, vote for Kamala Harris. I'm supporting this or I'm supporting that, and you should too. If they want to pitch an agenda through really popular, really influential people to their audience usually being people that aren't informed, they don't follow things, so they're just going to do what their favorite person tells them to do. So that's how blackmail could be used. Hey, remember we got this video of, you doing this really gross act that you wouldn't want people knowing about. Go ahead and pitch this narrative for us. But that's farther on down the line. First, they just get you to sign the contract.
They don't know, don't drink after a nigga. They don't know a nigga going.
They never been in the street. They don't know the rules that apply.
I'm gonna tell you straight, because I ain't really trying.
So here he's describing how people will drug other people's drinks, and people that are seasoned in the industry know, like, don't leave your drink behind, don't leave your drink uncovered, don't let your drink out of your sight, because somebody will drug it and you'll you'll wake up the next day not knowing what happened, and then somebody will present you with this video saying, look what you did last night.
I put niggas out there, right? But a nigga in the studio, we from the hood. I used to stick niggas up, bro. Babyface, I used to book niggas. So I'm always on point, bro. I'm on point right now, my nigga. Always on my square. But a nigga that's a square, he don't know. Yeah. So he don't know why shit drink. He don't know. So now he drink behind a nigga. He get drugged. They rape this nigga. They rape this nigga. Videotape it. Then when he in a meeting, they give him a shitty contract. They play the video of him getting fucked by like 3 niggas. He ain't never been through shit like that. So he like, man, what? Fuck it, I'm just gonna sign. And you gonna give me money? So rather than get that story put out, he gonna sign that bad contract, which is the 360 deal. He gonna take that advance, which is recuperable anyway. So they gonna give him the money just to take back and own the rights to his shit.
I'm sitting here with 5 niggas that got the same look like
I'm telling y'all.
So this ties into like Kanye and the Harley Pasternak stuff. If you guys don't know about the Harley Pasternak stuff, there was the text messages from Harley Pasternak, who was Kanye's personal trainer, even though the guy he was former Canadian intelligence who specialized in like using drugs to create super soldiers, guys that could stay awake for a week, and all sorts of other crazy drugs that was very similar to the MK Ultra stuff. And Kanye from the beginning wasn't going along with all this stuff. He wasn't putting himself in compromising situations. He didn't go along with it. So what happens when the blackmail doesn't work? Well, then they start using other tactics, threatening you, threatening your family, potentially putting you in a psych ward by giving you crazy drugs. Those text messages came out. I wish I would have pulled them up. Tucker Carlson, there's a pretty viral clip that Tucker Carlson did a few years ago. He when he was still on Fox News, where Kanye released those text messages from Harley Pasternak talking about, I will send you off to La La Land. You'll never see your kids again. Like basically I'll drug you and you'll go insane. Like Scarecrow in Batman, what he would do to people. Look it up. Harley Pasternak, Tucker Carlson. Just search that on X and you'll see the clip pop up. But all of this stuff ties together. I know it sounds crazy. I know I sound tinfoily, but all of this stuff ties together. So we'll keep playing here.
They fucking niggas around out here. Y'all, they are fucking niggas around. They giving niggas some shit. It ain't what you think. You fuck around, wake up tomorrow, shit, ass nigga with a footy on. And don't know what the fuck you just did. I mean, real shit. Your motherfucker meat feels so fucked up and your ass hurting. You don't know what the fuck to say. You don't know who to tell. But this is what the game is going to. That's what it's going to. Then, here it is, it's time for a contract to come out. Nigga want to sign you for 5 years. You like, nah, dog. So you don't want to sign with us? Nah. Nah. Man, pop in the tape. Show this nigga what he did last night.
See? Like, and this is so much more widespread than everybody thinks it is. Tracy Doyle, you wonder if they have blackmail on Taylor Swift? I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, look back when the vaccine came out and all of the propaganda, all of the really highly influential people that were coming out saying, just take the vaccine, it's safe and effective, all that stuff, trust the science, all that crap. You got actresses, you got comedians, you've got athletes, all these different people that are highly influential saying the same thing. A lot of people that you wouldn't expect to be saying that type of thing. Sure, were many of those actors and actresses and other famous people just, sort of peer pressured into doing all that and they became like true believers, that kind of thing. Yeah, that happens too. But I mean, when it comes to people like Beyonce and Jay-Z, who are greatly tied into that, I mean, Jay-Z was named in one of the P. Diddy lawsuits, and his tie with I always forget her name. She's got the crazy name, the witch lady that does the spirit cooks. Somebody drop it in the chat if you remember her name. Some crazy name, but she does all sorts of weird. She calls it art, but it's like satanic stuff. There's one art expedition she did back in like the 80s where she put like a bunch of weapons out on a table and she stood there and said, "You can do whatever you want to me." And she had knives out there. There was even a gun on there. And the whole thing was stopped when a guy actually pulled the gun, and like it looked like he was going to shoot her. God, what's her name? So, thank you, Tracy Doyle. Marina Abramovich. Yeah, look her up. Look up Jay-Z and Marina Abramovich and go down the Marina Abramovich rabbit hole. Look at her past and then see how close Jay-Z and Beyonce are to that crazy lady. This whole thing's wild, folks. It all ties together. That's what's this fucking, sorry, F word. Sorry, Shelly, if you're watching. It all ties together, and that's the most insane thing about this whole thing.
I'm serious. Dude, this real shit I'm telling y'all though. Pop in the tape. You sitting there motherfucker like, man, what the fuck? Yeah, well, what the fuck? That's what happened. You got fucked. What you gonna do? You gonna sign that contract. You don't want nobody in the hood to see that shit. You don't want this shit to get out, dog. I'm telling y'all, in this room I'm telling y'all like this. These niggas that you see constantly high, they're not getting high because they like to get high. They're getting high because they know what they done done.
Send the stylist at them first.
Yeah.
Cat Williams talked about that. That was deep what he said right there. That see all these people getting high. They're not getting high because they like getting high, because they're getting high because they're trying to like run from the things they've done. That's man, and he might be right about that. And you see the famous clip of Cat Williams on that former football player show. Somebody else dropped that in the chat if you remember it. The guy that actually just got kicked off ESPN because somebody came out with sexual allegations against him. Cat Williams was on his show. Who is that? Somebody else dropped that in the chat. Who's the football player? Super famous football player. He's got a podcast now. It's a really big podcast too. Yeah, famous clip of God. I can't remember his name off the top of my head either, and I should have brought that clip up. But let's keep going.
Yep. And if the stylist report back and be like, "Oh, he ready," then they invite you to the party, and that's when they be like, "Yo, look, you go in here, it's gonna be some." You know what I mean? It's a nigga at the door.
Okay, now look, what CaliBased is doing to you right now, he's giving you the game of how these niggas be getting turned the fuck out.
Yeah, like
they've tried to put this tight ass shirt on you.
That's what they do.
And if you wear the shirt,
they like, "Oh, he ready."
He with it.
That's you telling them like, "Yeah, I'm ready." And then next thing you know, you get invited to the party with the greeting.
Northside, thank you so much. Whiskey Reaper, yep, both you guys. Shannon Sharp, Cat Williams. There's a clip of Cat Williams on Shannon Sharp's show talking about this exact thing and how he stayed away from it. And that's one of the reasons why Cat Williams just remember how big Cat Williams was back in 2009, 2010. Cat Williams was one of the biggest comedians on the world, and he just sort of disappeared for a while. Like nobody knew what happened to Cat Williams. A lot of people speculate, Cat Williams thinks that it's because he wouldn't go along with the program, and he didn't put himself in the compromising situation, so they didn't have shit on him. But all of a sudden, he wasn't getting deals anymore. He wasn't getting booked for gigs. He wasn't getting booked for stadium shows. Weird how that works out.
Is the man squeezing your dick?
Whoa.
Oh, this shit is wild.
It
is wild, you guys. All right, so let's go back to. I put this in order, and I wasn't getting that. I sort of went out of order, but the show's going to flow better if I show that video first. Now we're going to go to like the queen of who exposes all of this stuff, and many of you guys are familiar with Whitney Webb. You might have heard about her. You might have read her book, but a lot of people haven't read her book, and even a lot of people that have, it's a hard read. It is a very hard read. Not like English wise, or like I'll show you, like she's using a bunch of big words and stuff. But there's so many names and so many time periods that it goes through, and so many ways all these different people are connected that you almost have to start doing the conspiracy theory guy, where he puts like the picture on the wall and put the tack and then draws a red line with a string to another guy. And like, you almost have to start doing that when you read One Nation Under Blackmail. And that's volume 1 and volume 2. And I actually think volume 1 is more important because it shows the origins of this sexual blackmail stuff and where it all started. So this is a 4-minute clip. That's why the show's not going to go long, but there's a 4-minute clip of Whitney Webb on the Jimmy Dore show. And she gets into this a little bit. So let's go to this clip here.
Writing this book is how sexual blackmail pops up over and over again in various big events and scandals in U.S. history. And so part of what I'm trying to show, and a big reason why I wrote Volume 1, is to really break apart the mainstream media narrative that Jeffrey Epstein was an anomaly, that his behavior was exclusive to him, and now he's dead, so none of this ever, it doesn't matter anymore. This is a type of activity that has been done over and over and over again in our political system, and it was it was a move, and it's a type of operation really that was perfected first by the mob. So this is something that's really born out of, in my opinion, this organized crime intelligence team up, and now it's just been going on for an excessive amount of time at this point.
So there's 3 primary ways that you get people to do the things that you want them to do. When I say you, I mean, I'm alluding to a certain government that has a very high level of influence over our government. And in order to get politicians to vote purely in your favor all the time, 100%, first step is I'm going to back your campaign with tons of money. We're going to get you elected. Next step is blackmail, sexual blackmail or otherwise. And the third step is threats to your family or threats to yourself. Those are the 3 ways to get people to do what you want them to do. And someone that comes to mind when I talk about that is Mike Johnson, where he was vehemently against the Ukraine war from the get-go. And then as soon as he becomes speaker, he totally flips the script on that. Totally, completely backtracks on everything he was saying before that. He seemed like an anti-war guy. And then all of a sudden he's speaking, and wow, look at that. Now he's super pro-Ukraine war. He's super pro sending money to other countries so they can on people. Crazy how that works out.
So here, well, let me give this to you as a jumping off point. This is more from the description of the book. It says this book specifically explores how the nexus between intelligence and organized crime directly developed the sexual blackmail tactics and networks that would later enable the sexual blackmail operation and other crimes of deceased pedophile and sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. Other books on Jeffrey Epstein focus on the depraved nature of his crimes or his wealth and his most famous politically connected friends and acquaintances. But this book, in contrast, reveals the extent to which Epstein's activities were state-sponsored through an exploration of his intelligence connection. So tell me about, so when the Pizzagate thing happened, right? When Pizzagate broke, that story, and
we're going to talk about that too.
I didn't pay much attention to it, but what did catch my eye was what I thought was an overreaction to a bunch of people online saying that there was a sexual pedophile ring in Washington, D.C. And I'm like, well, first of all, that sounds completely reasonable to assume that there's a sex pedophile ring servicing powerful people in Washington, D.C. That's not crazy to think that.
And it begs the question, why is there so many people in high levels of government that seem to have these insane sexual proclivities? Well, maybe it's because before they got into office, they were identified as somebody that has these insane sexual proclivities. And if we can exploit those insane sexual proclivities and get them into office, they'll do exactly what we want them to do. That's sort of my theory on it. Why do we have so many deviants and insane sexual predators in high positions of government? Probably because they were put there, because they knew they could be easily compromised.
That could happen. And then I just lost my chain of thought. So that they overreacted to that. Just like Seth Rich, if you even mentioned it, you were banished from society. You couldn't ask questions about it. You couldn't cover it. You couldn't do anything. And I was just like, what is going on? Why are they overreacting to this Pizzagate thing so much? Why do they have to? Why is that? And then you find out it's because there actually is a pedophile ring happening, and it's sponsored by the intelligence community. And it involves a bunch of really powerful people, like part of the royal family and Bill Clinton and people and Hollywood stars and people like that go to Jeffrey Epstein's island and have sex with kids. And we know this for a fact, and there's a flight log. And so I guess that was, just like when the Wuhan virus, people were speculating that COVID started from a virus that was engineered in a lab in Wuhan, China, and they immediately have to overreact to that and say you're a racist if you think that, right?
That too. So the whole lab leak theory in the beginning, when you're called racist and a conspiracy theorist, if you thought there was a lab leak, when anybody that is just somewhat rational looks at it, and they're like, wait a minute, hold on. So this virus started in Wuhan, China, and you're telling me that it came from a wet market where they like to eat bats, even though they didn't serve bats at this wet market, and those particular bats are from 2,000 miles away. But in this same city in Wuhan, China, they have a lab that does gain-of-function research on coronaviruses. Any logical person would look at that and be like, well, maybe it came from the lab. Any logical person would look at that and think that. But there was this astroturf narrative that can't possibly be, and everybody, even logical people that you think are smart, highly influential people, were all parroting the same talking points. Why? Were those people compromised in some way? What blackmail did they have over them?
So that's again, my bullshit detector went off. You guys are overreacting too hard to that. And so what you are saying is that Jeffrey Epstein isn't a one-off. This isn't some anomaly inside of our culture. No. This is a regular classic CIA psyop, or it's classic CIA program to do this. This is how they get powerful people under the CIA's control to do their bidding. This is probably why Donald Trump didn't release those JFK files on his way out the door, because the CIA didn't want him to do it, and they probably have blackmail material on him.
Yeah, and a lot of you guys are big Trump fans, and I voted for the guy too, but there are a lot of connections to Epstein. Epstein and Trump were friends, like legit friends. They had a falling out over some real estate near Mar-a-Lago, but before that, Trump and Epstein were pretty tight. So just saying, you guys, Trump may not be squeaky clean, you guys. So let's keep going here. So just to sort of add to the point that this isn't Epstein, P. Diddy, they're not just like one-offs. This isn't just like, they're the only ones doing this kind of thing. This is a story that nobody talked about. And if I don't have time to go into the nitty-gritty on this one, but this one sent me down a rabbit hole. So this is from Red Pill Drifter here. And this guy named Orrin Alexander and his brothers. So in Miami, this is Orrin Alexander. Orrin and his two brothers, Alon, A-L-O-N, and Tal, were arrested Wednesday for their involvement in an elite trafficking ring. Women were drugged and raped. Some couldn't move to speak or escape. They have close connections to Israel. Is this another arm of the Mossad Israel Epstein ring? Why are prosecutors asking for no bail specifically because of their wealth, connections, and ties to Israel? In a letter to the U.S. District Judge Valerie Caproni, prosecutors asked that the three brothers be held without bail, citing the number of crimes they are accused of, their wealth, and close connections to Israel, where extradition to the U.S. can be a drawn-out process. And this ties into the TikTok ban stuff too. And what was his name? Mike Gallagher, who is like the head of the China some committee dealing with foreign relations with China. And he's the one that presented the TikTok bill, which didn't really gain steam until after October 7th, when a lot of things started going viral on TikTok that certain governments wouldn't like going viral on TikTok. And then they really started pushing for this TikTok bill, which Mike Gallagher introduced. And then shortly after he introduced it and it passed the House, guess what? Mike Palantir decides he's going to quit on April 4th. He's stepping down, which left the Republicans in a tricky spot because it gave them a very narrow, they had like 2 seats more than the Democrats. And where does Mike Gallagher go immediately after Congress? He goes over to Palantir, and he's still working there today. Palantir's a whole nother rabbit hole. All of this stuff ties together. Oh, it makes me see. I feel like a nutbag even talking about all this stuff, but there's so many just lines that connect everything together, and it's horrible. So this is just, I mean, I need to look more because this was a story from a few months ago. I need to look more into what happened with Orrin Alexander and his 2 brothers. But this was just to show that the whole Epstein and P. Diddy thing, they're not just like one-off things. This is a practice. Sexual blackmail is a practice, and we'll keep going. So this is from Mario Narfall. Jay-Z accused of assaulting a 13-year-old girl in lawsuit with Diddy. So he was named in this. He had a whole long response, which was pretty wild, his response, and the accusations are pretty wild too. So Jay-Z is facing shocking allegations of assaulting a 13-year-old girl in year 2000 as part of a civil lawsuit that also implicates Diddy. He also called the claims idiotic and accused attorney Tony Busby of a blackmail attempt. Interesting choice of words. His lawyers are demanding the accuser drop her anonymity, arguing you can throw out accusations like this and stay hidden. Even though I don't want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but after the whole Me Too movement, with everybody that got accused of doing stuff, when it was like Aziz Ansari got accused of sexual improprieties, even though he basically had a bad date with a girl. So not trying to stick up for Jay-Z here, but you do have to sort of take things with a grain of salt. Let's keep going here. We'll go over to this is from MJ Truth Ultra. This is another clip here. So this is from Suge Knight. You guys remember Suge Knight, right? Suge Knight was the manager of he was like the top dog at, was it Death Row Records with Dre, Snoop Dogg, all those guys. He's the one that killed Tupac, all that stuff, but he went to prison. So this is from MK Truth Ultra, and he's just got some quotes. The saddest thing in the world is that Diddy and Usher did what Diddy and Usher did to Justin Bieber. Am I sharing this? Okay, cool. I am. Suge Knight. P. Diddy is the fall guy, and not one celebrity he was friends with is vouching for him. Snoop Dogg and Puffy were closer than most, to the point it was uncomfortable for 2 men to be that way. Everybody knew that Puffy did what Puffy did to Usher. It's not one person that didn't know that Puffy was fucking Usher. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have cursed there. And the saddest thing in the world is what they did to Justin Bieber. And I'm actually going to pull up that Bieber clip. I'll play it during this show. I might play it next. They had sex with him. What they did to this young man, the drugs, it's unhealthy and effed up. No grown man is supposed to be getting high, doing drugs, and drinking with kids. You have a grown man talking Justin on romance vacations with no women. Justin Bieber has been trying to get this out in his music. He's saying it without saying it. You guys have seen like what Justin Bieber looks like today. He's like, yeah, it's pretty sad here. So get caught up with the chat here. Jaguar Wright. I don't know who Whiskey Reaper. I don't know who Jaguar Wright is. Probably another rabbit hole you're going to send me down. Keith over on X. He had normal friends too. Whiskey Reaper. When you go down the secret society rabbit hole, it all makes sense. I'm still trying to make sense of it, man. Tracy Doyle over on X. Ghislaine's dad, Mossad, MI6 double, maybe triple with the CIA. I think he handpicked Epstein. So we'll get into Robert Maxwell in a little bit too. Keith took his soul over on X. Tracy Doyle, correction, Virginia Roberts, not virgins. Oh yeah, I got you. Okay, so let's play this video from Suge Knight really quick, and I'm gonna look up that I'm gonna find that Justin Bieber video really quick and see if I can. Yeah, I want to play that next for you guys. So let's watch this quick clip while I search for that.
But a lot of stuff we all been knowing is true. But he the fall guy right now. It's not one celebrity that he hung with is speaking up for him. Snoop and Puffy was so closer than most.
Really?
They would do things together and party together and do things that it was uncomfortable for two men to be that way. Clark and Trey, Russell Simmons, you know,
You think
everybody knew what Puffy did. This is the big question is this. It's not one person didn't know that Puffy was Usher. It's not one person didn't know what the saddest thing in the world is what they did to Justin Bieber.
What was that?
That's sad.
What'd they do to him? Because there's a lot of speculation out there, but nobody. I mean, I've heard things, but what did they really do to him
They had sex with him.
when he was a
And
kid?
I hate to say that. But I hate to say that because I really like Justin Bieber. I feel bad for Justin Bieber. And this is when that happened if Justin Bieber came from a wealthy family. Justin Bieber pretty much came from a poor family, but the young man was so talented, and he could have been bigger than Michael Jackson. But the question of the drugs and the stuff he allowed these grown men to do to this little boy is unhealthy and it's fucked up. No grown men supposed to be getting high and doing drugs and drinking with a kid.
Hey, Suge, you know,
This clip of Bieber that I'm finding, so I'll play it next. I posted this clip of Bieber when the P. Diddy stuff very first came out. I just went on YouTube. I was like, I remember this thing. I want to share it. And it went mega viral. It got like 6 million views. And I think this clip that I'm going to play for you guys is actually my clip, and a bunch of other people used it. So we'll keep going here.
yeah, Justin Bieber has been getting this out in different ways. You know, you could see it in his music and just what he's been trying to say without saying it. So, I mean, I think everybody knows what you just stated to be true.
I mean, you had grown men would take Justin Bieber. A grown man take Justin Bieber when he was young to a vacation, a romantic vacation, showing pictures on the Instagram with no women, nobody else but a grown, successful man and this little kid. And even if you and I was going on vacation together, and because if the wives mad or not, it's definitely not going to be me and you. It's going to be mad because we're going to have some there. Or I'm not going to be sitting on a romantic island, just you and me.
Hell
You
no.
know what I mean?
Hell no.
I'd rather take the chance. I'd rather take the chance of my girl saying, hey, you know, you out there having parties and all you right. She damn sure ain't going to say this, you and I on a romantic island. That's up.
Hell
So
no.
they took Justin Bieber and just them. That only is a bad look. It's sad.
Yeah.
But the worst part about it is everybody said what was done to Usher and they done to Justin Bieber. And the thing with Usher spent the night and Prima Puppy being in the same bed to do an album. They never did one song they put out at that time. On top of that, when I met Usher, I came on one time. I'm speaking to the guy because he got good songs. That's out of respect. Right, young black man. This dude rolled his eyes at me. And so there was somebody came over and said, you know, don't have one of your guys do nothing to him. He a good young man, but him and Puffy got a thing. He a thing. He said, he gave me a look like, you know. And I thought about it. The way he rolled his eyes at me, it wasn't like somebody homie rolled it. It was like I beat up somebody, man, like I beat his, you know, he did like somebody to roll your eyes, like you beat my boyfriend up. I ain't speaking to you.
Really?
It's one of those, right? Yeah, for sure. And the crazy thing about it is like Leslie, his mother, and everybody else said the same thing. Well, it was wrong, but if we go and get Puffy in trouble behind that, Usher wouldn't be Usher. He'd be known as the guy who got molested by Puffy, and they didn't want that. They want the money. But a lot of
All right. So here, let's go. Let's look at early Justin Bieber and Diddy. We'll look at it. We'll listen to something that Usher talked about on the Howard Stern show after this. So go to this one here. So this is Justin Bieber talking about, what was this? It was like this is like 24 hours with Diddy or something. It was a show that he actually did. I think it was like a YouTube show that P. Diddy was doing. Northside, the Italian guys, they snitch. Suge should be careful who he talks to. Well, I mean, he was talking to everybody there. So I'm Suge's already behind bars. Like, I guess that makes him an easy target, right? All right, so this is a clip from, I believe it was called I think it was like 48 Hours with Diddy or something like that. And just keep in mind, Justin Bieber's 15 in this video. And just with everything you know about Diddy and underage kids and everything he was doing with the human trafficking shit, just with that in mind, just watch the mannerisms of Diddy, what he's saying to Justin Bieber, and is this appropriate for a grown-ass man to be talking with a 15-year-old kid about this stuff?
Yeah, so as soon as you turn 16, you
what I'm saying? I'm gonna let you rock this every time you come LA. Yeah, it's gonna be yours.
So why is he going to give a kid a Lambo? Why you giving a 15-year-old a Lambo when he turned 16?
Every time you come to LA, it's a little dusty, but you know, look at the front shot of this.
Man.
Minute.
Woo. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna be driving this next year.
Yeah, when you get 16, you come down there, you gotta, you know, wear your seat.
I mean, I'm 15. You could ride in the passenger seat. I got my permit. Not yet.
No.
All right, 16.
You're not ready.
16.
Slow down. Let's slow down, Josh.
Okay.
Let's slow down. Okay.
One step at a time.
But yeah, the keys is yours when when you get 16. You're good to go.
I'm good to go.
Yeah.
All right.
And then when you get 18, you get the house. You get the mansion.
Okay. I get the mansion.
Yeah.
And then you get a mansion. And the way Diddy licked his lips right there when he said when you're 16, just super creepy.
So where are we off to now?
Where would you like to go?
I mean, wherever you want to go. Where are we going?
So check this out, yo. Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but
why Diddy? Why can't you disclose what you're doing?
It's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. I have been given custody of him. He signed to Usher.
I'm signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So and we gonna go full crazy.
I'm going crazy.
Crazy.
I'm taking this out tonight.
What you want to do? What you want to do over the next 48 hours?
48 hours. Let's go. Let's just go get some girls. Let's go get some girls.
A man after my heart. That's what I'm talking about, kid.
Super suspect. So let's keep going here. I'm actually going to go back to this other clip that I saw. So this is an interaction between Diddy and Justin Bieber shortly after this episode of 48 Hours with Diddy took place. Tell me if this interaction seems normal to you guys.
Starting to act different, huh?
So
you ain't been...
Hold on really quick here. There we go.
Starting to act different, huh? Starting to act different, huh? You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Oh, why? Why is he avoiding you after you spent 48 hours with him? Why would this young boy want to be avoiding you after that, Diddy?
Well, I mean, you try to get in contact with me, through all my, partners and whatnot.
Look how uncomfortable he looks. Oh.
Starting to act different, huh?
I'm sorry.
You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean, you try to get in contact with me, through all my, partners and whatnot. But you never really got my number, so.
Right. Okay.
My number?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's go to this next one.
I definitely feel protective of her.
This is him talking about some other famous artist. If I remember her name, you guys know what I'm talking about. Somebody dropped in the chat. You probably already know who he's talking about. He's talking about protecting this other young artist who is fresh into the industry, who is potentially going to get subjected to the same things he was subjected to.
I definitely feel protective. Protective of her.
Oh, Billie Eilish.
It was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, telling me they love me and, just turn their back on you in a second. I don't want her to lose it. I don't want her to, go through anything I went through. I don't wish that upon anybody. So,
What'd you go through, Beebs? What did they put you through?
Yeah, if she ever needs me, I'm just a call away.
I seriously feel awful for Justin Bieber. Like, I'm some AV tech who's never even been remotely famous, and this guy's got all the money in the world, and he's a broken man. He's a broken man now, and he would he would probably trade everything he's got to just be normal and not have gone through the things that he's gone through. So I am a believer. I am a Bieber fan, you know, because what they put this kid through, I don't think any of us could even imagine.
Bad boy.
This video was debunked, but I don't know if it was really debunked. Look how young this girl is.
Anybody else?
Yeah. Everyone, introduce yourself.
My name's Ava. I'm a Scorpio.
No. What's your last name?
Ava Combs.
What's your other last name?
Ava Baroni.
Eva Baroni Combs. Yes, it's breaking news. Diddy adopted a white child. I want you to tell them the story about how I adopted you. But you still have beautiful parents but you're my child also. But please tell the story.
So, I was on the streets, and then Papa Combs decided
Papa Combs? This video is so freaking creepy.
that he would like to be a caring man. So then he saw me and decided to pick me up and said to come inside and play with his kids.
Yeah.
Oh, unreal. And I don't know if you guys caught it in that video, 48 Hours with Diddy. He talked about Usher in that video, and he says how he had custody. He had parental custody of Usher when he was like 14 or 15. And this is Usher on the Howard Stern show talking about Puffy's flavor camp that he went to when he was 13 years old. So listen to this clip and tell me if this is normal for a grown-ass man to subject a 13-year-old boy
and
to.
calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean, you try to get in contact with me, you know, through all my, partners and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But you never really got my number.
Sorry about that. Let me close this one. Okay. All right. Video of Usher on the Howard Stern show, sort of spilling the beans of what this Puffy flavor camp was all about. He's 13. He's describing when he was 13 years old.
Moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you
New
over
York
to
City.
something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor
some...
camp.
Yeah,
Flavor
that's what it
camp.
was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
In the 90s. Do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I
Come
mean,
on.
but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you
I
seeing?
went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
So nobody tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I ain't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't necessarily understand it.
Uh-huh.
Biggie Smalls was there.
Biggie Smalls was there. Lil' Kim, Craig Mack.
All these people are hanging around.
Yeah, man. Faith Evans,
And your parents
Jodeci,
were
Mary J.
okay?
Blige. They didn't know nothing about this shit.
Oh.
I was having a good time. You know what I mean?
Does he have you doing any chores? Are you doing dishes at all? I mean, to keep you humble somewhat? Or are you just like, can you stay up till 4 a.m. with them and party?
I mean, I could. I actually stayed up longer than them.
And do you have money? What's going on?
I mean, I had like per diem.
Yeah.
I had like,
What
like
a
living.
life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy camp?
Hell no.
Well, there you go. There's your answer right there. All right, let's keep going. So back to this is actually more like the politicians, the DC elites and that kind of stuff. So we mentioned Pizzagate earlier, and all that stuff's been debunked, right? All the Pizzagate stuff's been debunked. Well, has it really though? So this guy on some local news station back in the day, I mean, this was back probably in like 2010, maybe 2012, 2014, somewhere in that time period. And he did an investigation into Pizzagate. And after he dropped this video, and I'm going to play the whole thing, it's like 5 minutes long. After he did this investigation, he was ruined. He was kicked out, blacklisted, never allowed back. I mean, you could go look at this guy's name is Ben Swan, and go look what they did to Ben Swan after he released this investigation, this investigative report that he did. So we're gonna watch this whole video. All right. So it's a little long, but this is into the Pizzagate stuff. And remember, the WikiLeaks Podesta emails about Obama and, you know, pizza and hot dogs and all that kind of stuff. Well, all of this stuff ties together, folks.
Well, Pizzagate, it became a major story weeks ago when an armed man decided to investigate a D.C. area pizza place for himself. This man right here, he carried a rifle into a pizza parlor and then fired it at the floor. Media is telling you the entire story is a hoax or fake news. But what does that even mean? I spent the last month investigating. So what exactly is Pizzagate? And are there any actual facts to support the story? I've got to warn you, what we're going to talk about.
Just a side note, what I do for a living, you guys, is you see this video wall behind them. That's what that's called, a bunch of panels. Looks like these are 55 to 65-inch panels all joined together and made into one big giant display. That's what I do. That's an aspect of what I do for a living.
Tonight will be disturbing to some people, but this is a reality check you won't see anywhere else. Pizzagate actually comes from the WikiLeaks release hacked emails from Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta. In all, WikiLeaks dumped around 50,000 email messages, and it was from those emails that the claims that John Podesta may be part of a child sex trafficking ring come from. Now, to be clear, not one single email in the Podesta emails discusses child sex trafficking or pedophilia. That is a fact. But there are dozens of what seem to be strangely worded emails dealing with pizza and handkerchiefs. Self-described online investigators say that those words in the emails about pizza and the talk of handkerchiefs is code language used by pedophiles. So how did a DC pizza parlor get pulled into the story? Well, again, read any mainstream report and they indicate that Comet Ping Pong Pizza was somehow linked to this fake story and has no relation to anyone involved. But the truth is that's not true either. What media is ignoring is Comet Ping Pong Pizza Place is actually referenced in the Podesta emails.
Go down the John Elephantis rabbit hole and his connections. This shit is dark. His Instagram profile, people that things he posted on Instagram, people that he's friends with on Instagram, and not so coded language they used about horrific pictures. That's a rabbit hole in itself, the John Elephantis rabbit hole.
At least a dozen or so times, and that the owner of that place, James Elephantis, is a friend of John Podesta. He was actually named, this is kind of strange, by GQ magazine as one of the top 50 most powerful people in Washington. Yes, we're talking about a pizza parlor owner.
Why?
Now let's talk facts here. There is no solid evidence that Comet Ping Pong Pizza is being used to run a child sex trafficking ring. But there are some very strange connections between Comet Ping Pong Pizza and a second pizza place 2 doors over, Besta Pizza, and the accusations of pedophilia. Now, this is where things start to get strange when you research this story. Now, to begin, I need to show you a 2007.
Look at these symbols, these triangle symbols. Memorize them, know them, and recognize them when you see them.
Unclassified FBI document. That document, according to the FBI, contains commonly used symbols by pedophiles to express their preference in children. I want you to see these images here. These are the images. Notice this one on the end, the triangle. That image signifies something called boy love. The pizza place next door to Comet Ping Pong Pizza, Besta Pizza, well, this was their logo until only a few weeks ago. Clearly, you can see that the Besta logo actually contains the same image, I'm going to show you again, as that boy lover image.
Again, remember these symbols. Memorize them and recognize them when you see them in logos for different companies, nonprofit organizations. This shit is dark.
Interestingly, after Pizzagate investigators pointed this out, Besta Pizza changed their logo, and there it is now. They removed the triangle. Also, Comet Ping Pong, owned by...
Sorry if you hear my dog snoring. She's right next to me. She's still not feeling that great.
Elephantis is the place where a number of performance artists perform regularly. Two of the groups that perform there, who you can see advertised, by the way, on this Comet Ping Pong poster, include a group called Heavy Breathing and another group called Sex Stains. Well, if you check out the YouTube videos by these bands, Heavy Breathing has songs that do joke about pedophilia, and the band Sex Stains has a video that includes, and you see it right there, that same boy lover symbol. It's
You see it? You guys see this? This shit's everywhere.
nearly identical to the one that the FBI does say is a pedophile code symbol for boy love. As I said, there are some strange things there. As for the owner of the pizza place, James Alfantis, well, he was one time in a relationship with David Brock, who ran Media Matters for America. Well, since Pizzagate began to blow up online, he has made his Instagram profile, Jimmy Comet, private. But an archive search of Instagram reveals a number of strange photographs and words with strange and disturbing images associated with them. Look, to the point where we can't show you those pictures. We're not even going to describe them to you because some viewers would find it too disturbing to share on TV. Now let's talk about the Podesta brothers, because remember, it was John Podesta's email that was hacked. In those leaked Podesta emails, John Podesta talks about his close relationship with Dennis Hastert, the former Speaker of the House, who was recently sentenced to 15 months in prison for abusing boys years ago. He was referred to by the judge as a serial child molester. According to the Washington Post, visitors to Tony Podesta's home in Falls Church got an eyeful when they walked into a bedroom at the Podesta residence hung with multiple color pictures by Katie Grannon, a photographer known for documentary-style pictures of naked teenagers in their parents' suburban homes. And to be clear, that just begins to scratch the surface of how strange some of this stuff is. And bear in mind, we can't get into a lot of the real details of it because of the limits on broadcasting this on television. But it is some very strange stuff. Now, keep in mind, again, there is no proof here that there is a child sex ring being operated out of a DC pizza parlor. Investigators have already proven there's nothing to the story, right? Well, actually, no. And that's what you need to know. For all that is here, there has not been one single investigation of any of this, not from local police, not from the FBI, no one.
Why is that?
And that has to be the big question. Not for Podesta or for pizza parlor owners, but for law enforcement. Based on what may be or may not be here, the big question is, why hasn't any investigation taken place? That's Reality Check. Let's talk about it.
So, why was Ben Swann ruined? Why was he blacklisted? Well, a lot of people speculate it's because of this investigative report that he did. All right, let's check up on the chat here. Billie Eilish, yep, thanks, Matty Bracco, appreciate it. Matty Bracco, 48 hours collecting compromising content. I am not a tech king, not at all. Elefantis is a dork. Pizza owner is the most powerful guy in DC. Yeah, I know. It's really weird, all of the connections that he has. Congresswoman Jackson Lee had a triangle ring. Interesting. Northside over on Rumble. Ben Swann is an American hero. Yeah, I know. I can't believe they let this thing air. So the whole thing is crazy. So all right, so back to Epstein. This is just so this whole thing is like, who do all these people work for? And I mean, I don't know who Diddy worked for. I'm not sure, but since he was doing the exact same thing that Epstein was doing, and J. Edgar Hoover was doing back in the day, who started doing it because what J. Edgar Hoover started doing to other people is exactly what Meyer Lansky did to him. Meyer Lansky, head of, well, they called him the mob's accountant. I'm pretty sure that's what they called him, the mob's accountant. And he was a member of the Jewish Mafia, a very high-ranking member of the Jewish Mafia. And yes, there was a Jewish Mafia. And you get sort of labeled anti-Semitic if you say the Jewish Mafia, but I mean, there's an Irish mob, there's an Italian mob, there's a Russian mob, there's the Yakuza. I mean, for some reason, when you talk about any other country's mob, you get labeled a certain thing. It's quite interesting. But This is a quote from Pierce Morgan that's pretty illuminating. So this is there's a former Mossad. Oh, he was the head of Mossad. Can't remember what years he is the head of Mossad, but Scott Horton's on. And Scott Horton is always bringing his A game. So let's just watch this quick clip from Pierce Morgan, because a lot of people speculate that Jeffrey Epstein worked for Israeli intelligence in some capacity or another. A lot of people speculate Mossad, whatever, could be some other form of Israeli intelligence. But this question that this former Mossad, head of Mossad, gets asked, and his answer is very illuminating. Let's watch this quick clip.
Danny, let me ask you something. As a former head of Mossad, if Jeffrey Epstein had been working with Mossad, would you even tell us?
No.
Would you admit it?
Well,
Exactly.
As
So
far,
how do we know?
As I understand, as far as you have to believe. How do you know that there is God?
You just said you
have to
wouldn't tell
believe.
me.
If you believe, God exists. Yeah, it is a question of belief. Either you believe me
Yeah,
or
but you just
not.
told me you wouldn't tell me if he had.
I didn't.
He was dating Robert Maxwell's daughter.
I did not meet. I did
Well,
not
let me
meet
ask
Jeffrey
Alan.
Epstein ever.
Yeah,
I know.
Oh, I'm sorry. He's talking about Robert Maxwell. So that was Ghislaine Maxwell's father, but same overall point.
Know him.
Yeah.
I don't know him. Sorry, I don't know him. I don't think.
Okay.
And
Was he
this,
talking about Robert Maxwell, or was he talking about Epstein here? Sorry, I got to listen to the question again. I'm going to start this over and I'll skip back.
Danny, let me ask you something. As a former head of Mossad, if Jeffrey Epstein had...
Okay, he was talking about Jeffrey Epstein, not Robert Maxwell, which Robert Maxwell most certainly worked for Israeli intelligence.
either you believe me
Yeah,
or
but you just
not.
told me you wouldn't tell me if he had.
I
He
didn't.
was dating Robert Maxwell's daughter.
I did not meet. I did not
Well,
meet
let me ask
Jeffrey
Alan.
Epstein ever.
Yeah.
I know him.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
know him. Sorry, I don't know him. I don't think.
Okay.
And this
Let-
is my
let me get- let me-
assessment.
Let me give
I
you a
don't
fact.
think
Let
that
me fact.
Okay, let me ask Alan.
because it was a stipulation.
Okay, we're
Let me
talking
give
over
you a
each other
fact.
again.
I'm going to make.
Hang on. Hang on.
And you've got Epstein's lawyer, scumbag Alan Dershowitz, over there on the right.
I'm gonna make
Please,
news.
everyone's talking again.
I'm gonna
Hang on,
make news.
Alan.
I'm
Let me
gonna
ask you a
Yeah.
Alan. Let me ask you a question. Alan, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Have you ever worked with Mossad?
Yes, I represented Mossad to help get two people out of Cyprus. I did it pro bono, and I got this letter from the head of the Mossad thanking me for doing it. But let me tell you
And I was also, Epstein's lawyer. And just don't draw any conclusions from that.
another thing. I was Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer. I know everything about him. If he had worked for the Mossad, he would have told me that. And I would have used it as a way of trying to reduce his sentence. He didn't tell me that. He told me nothing like that. So,
Or he could be too much of a liability for Mossad and you'd simply have him killed. Or that.
so there's no way in which he worked for the Mossad and didn't tell me that he worked for the Mossad.
And if he did, it would be attorney-client privilege and you wouldn't have to say it anyway, you scumbag.
Because I could have used that to get him an even shorter sentence than the one he got.
Okay. I can't stand Alan Dershowitz. He just debated Glenn Greenwald not too long back, and it was Glenn Greenwald ate his lunch. Okay, so this is Alan Dershowitz again, and he's talking with Kim Iverson, and this is great. She totally she takes him by surprise here, and it's a pretty good little clip here. Let's watch this quick clip from Kim Iverson interviewing Alan Dershowitz. Oh, apologize. Forgot to share my screen. And there we go.
Many of us suspect that Jeffrey Epstein was an asset to Mossad, and that Ghislaine Maxwell was in fact an agent of Mossad. There's a lot
Totally
of evidence
nonsense.
that point to this direction, and
No,
that they
there's no
were
evidence.
operating blackmail operation.
Look at the uncomfortable smile. He's so mad that she asked him that.
In order to get very powerful people, including people like yourself, in precarious positions to where you could potentially work on behalf of the state of Israel or protect the
Well,
state of Israel.
I've been
in
working
some
on
way.
the state of Israel. I've been working for the state of Israel since before you were born.
Jeffrey Epstein once visited me in Israel. He had never been there. He didn't know anybody in Israel. He didn't work for the Mossad. The Mossad wouldn't hire him.
Now, keep in mind, he's not lying if Jeffrey Epstein didn't directly work for Mossad, and he worked for them in some other intelligence capacity, a different branch. So being specifically saying Mossad is sort of a way to pigeonhole him into an answer where he could easily say, no, he didn't work for Mossad, and he's not lying. But did Epstein work for the Israeli government to get compromising blackmail on high-ranking politicians and heads of industry in order to blackmail them into what Israel wanted them to do? Is that possible?
And I hope he had videotapes of everybody, because they would show I never did anything improper. I have one other question. Are you used to having people come on your show to talk about one subject and then sandbagging them on another subject without any warning? Because it's nice to know you do that, and it will make certain that I have nothing to hide. I'm happy to talk about any of this, but I'm used to more ethical journalism.
No, we actually did notify the people who booked you onto the show that you would be asked about Epstein, and they assured us that you were aware
No,
of
they
this.
never notified me about that, and you'd have to show me that email.
Okay. One last question. Do you think that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself?
No, of course not. Well, he didn't kill himself without the help of some people. He did kill himself, but he killed himself with the help of guards.
See, but so that in itself, he's presenting a conspiracy theory right now. He's saying, yeah, Epstein killed himself and he had the guards help him. So, one thing's perfectly reasonable to say for Alan Dershowitz, that's totally a conspiracy theory without any proof or evidence. He says that. But if you speculate that Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself and he was killed by the people that he worked for, you're the conspiracy theorist. It's funny how that works.
He didn't do it by himself. He couldn't have done that. Obviously, though, the videos were turned off, and the guards turned their back, and his cellmate left. So I think he killed himself, but he killed himself with the assistance of some people in law enforcement.
I wonder what's going on with those guards today. I wonder what they're up to.
Okay. All right, Mr. Dershowitz, thank you so much for joining the show.
If you guys aren't familiar with Kim Iverson, she's awesome. Her and Tim Pool just really got into it with the back and forth, which is interesting because she's been on Tim Pool's show quite a few times, and they've always been cordial. They've always been sort of friends. And then Tim Pool went to this secret Chatham House Rules interview or event with Benjamin Netanyahu, where, the only people that I know were there for sure are Tim Pool and Dave Rubin. And they were invited to this like press conference with Chatham House Rules, where you're not allowed to say who's there, what questions were asked, or who asked them, or anything like that. It's just sort of like a secret meeting where Benjamin Netanyahu talks to reporters in the alternative media, because that is where everybody is going to get their information now. Very suspicious secret meeting that Tim Pool went to with Benjamin Netanyahu, and Kim Iverson called him out on that, and they had quite an entertaining back and forth in those regards. So we'll keep going here. So this is Ghislaine Maxwell's father was, allegedly an Israeli intelligence asset in some capacity, and he died in very suspicious circumstances. They say he committed suicide, and they found him washed up after being on his yacht. They found him like in the water, and then they had him buried in Jerusalem, like right next to that wall, the wishing wall or whatever it's called, the wall that they make everybody kiss. Yeah, so it was died of very suspicious circumstances. Ghislaine Maxwell afterwards went if you look at like conversations she had after he died, she had to like rebuild her reputation after this and sort of prove her loyalty, all sorts of weird stuff. But yeah, this is Ghislaine Maxwell's father. This is I don't even need to play the clip. It's just an airplane landing. But this is the body of Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, arrives in Jerusalem on 8/11/1991 after his suicide aboard his yacht, the Lady Ghislaine, which he named after his daughter. It later emerged that Maxwell had swindled mirror group pensions of 460 million pounds and was connected with Mossad. So I'll play the video because might as well. Why not? Oh, I must be getting tired because I keep forgetting to share my screen. So this is just a video of an airplane landing. So this has Robert Maxwell's body on it, flying him back to Jerusalem to be buried in one of the most prestigious places someone could be buried after committing suicide on his yacht. Who goes out on their yacht to commit suicide, by the way? So yeah, that's all that clip is. Nothing special there. All right, keep going here. This is just a funny clip from Tim Pool's episode the other day where somebody brings up Robert Maxwell and Tim plays dumb here, and then Josie the redheaded libertarian kind of plays dumb too and acts like she doesn't know exactly who Robert Maxwell worked for and calls Tim out. She politely corrects Tim.
Epstein was blackmailing people. He was probably working with some intelligence. Some people think he was working with Israeli intelligence. I don't know if the evidence corroborates that.
I think Elaine's father was Israeli intelligence, was he not?
I don't know, but I know that.
No one knows.
I don't know. I don't know if Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert Maxwell, is working for Israeli intelligence. Tim's a smart guy. Tim knows a lot of stuff. You can't not know that Robert Maxwell worked for Israel or was an asset of Israel in some capacity.
You know, Dan Bongino on this show said some Middle Eastern intelligence or something to that effect. And we don't know for sure.
Oh, no, maybe it was British intelligence, her dad.
Maybe.
No, I think it was Israeli. I think,
yeah.
I think it was Mossad.
No, Josie knows for sure that it was Mossad, but she just wanted to be polite there. So we'll keep going here. I don't even know why I threw that clip in there. So the whole sexual blackmail thing, it didn't start with Jeffrey Epstein. It won't end with Jeffrey Epstein or P. Diddy. And it started a very long time ago. And a lot of people think it was invented by Meyer Lansky. I'm sure it wasn't. I'm sure it goes back way further than him. But Meyer Lansky blackmailed J. Edgar Hoover. So this is from Robbie Sove. I don't know who this is. He works for The Hill. So he writes, J. Edgar Hoover compiled dossiers of damaging information on his rivals and enemies in order to threaten, blackmail, and discredit those who opposed him. He bugged MLK's bedroom, recorded him having sex, and sent him a letter encouraging him to kill himself. Other than that, sure. So he's responding to the New Yorker. J. Edgar Hoover made the FBI into a powerful but nonpartisan colossus. Kash Patel's chief goal, by contrast, is to weaponize the Bureau to protect Donald Trump and wreak vengeance on his administration's enemies. And the community note is hilarious. The New Yorker magazine has reported extensively on Hoover's ideological agenda and how Hoover dirty tricks campaigns was designed to neutralize almost all forms of political dissent, even comparing him to Torquemada. You guys, what's Torquemada? You guys know? Somebody let me know in the chat what Torquemada is. But so that was J. Edgar Hoover, and so I should have brought this clip up next. So this is Clyde Toll. I'm sorry. This is Meyer Lansky right here, and this is documented heavily in Whitney Webb's One Nation Under Blackmail, Volume 1, and his relationship with J. Edgar Hoover. So Meyer Lansky was a member of the Jewish mob who was instrumental in co-developing the National Crime Syndicate. He also invented sexual blackmail. I don't know if he invented it, but we'll give him credit for that. After allegedly getting his hands on photos of J. Edgar Hoover giving oral pleasure to his longtime aide, Clyde Tollinson. And this is a page out of Whitney Webb's book. which again, I highly recommend you guys read. One Nation Under Blackmail. It says, per Whitney Webb's One Nation Under Blackmail, show tab, counterintelligence czar James Angleton obtained compromising photos of J. Edgar Hoover engaged in some kind of gay situation, possibly Hoover giving a blowjob to his deputy Clyde Tollinson. So you know this is not just one source talking about this. Like, this is a well-known thing. So this is what's his name again? Manuel Noriega. So this is a video of him from way back in the day. I'll just read this. It's from Wall Street Apes. It's a former CIA officer confirming the FBI operates by blackmail alongside the CIA. They control politicians and even presidents. It's safe to say the Jeffrey Epstein client list is being protected by the FBI because now those people are under control by three-letter agency blackmail. J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI director, was a major hoodlum. This is a quote from I believe Manuel Noriega. J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI director, was a major hoodlum. He was the master of blackmail in this country. Everyone in Washington knew it. He was building files on senators and congresspeople. If they crossed him, they would be exposed. If they tried to force an investigation of the FBI, they would be exposed personally. We come to the breathtaking scandal of the time of having this. I'm sorry. We come to the breathtaking scandal of having this man, Manuel Noriega, who's a former paid CIA agent under 6 presidents. That's according to George Bush, not George W. Bush, George Bush Sr. He revealed that information in presidential debates with Michael Dukakis. This man, Noriega, the director of Panama and indicted drug dealer, boasting that he had blackmail control over George Bush, the United States president. Sorry, it's the CIA agent is not Manuel Noriega. Manuel Noriega is documented extensively in Whitney Webb's book as well. I have Bush by the balls. This may help you understand why all the dictators in the world, George Bush has a fixation on Noriega. He's got a problem there. He's got to keep pressure on Noriega. So let's watch this quick clip here. It's like 2 minutes, 45 seconds.
J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI director, was a major hoodlum. He was the master of blackmail in this country. Everyone in Washington knew it. He was building files on senators and congresspeople. If they crossed him, they would be exposed. If they tried to force an investigation of the FBI, they would be exposed personally. And now we come to the breathtaking scandal of having this man, Manuel Noriega, who's a former paid CIA agent under 6 presidents. That's according to George Bush. He revealed that information in the presidential debates with Michael Dukakis. This man, Noriega, the dictator of Panama, an indicted drug dealer, boasting that he has blackmail control over George Bush, the United States president. I refer you to the Newsweek, May 23, 1988 issue, in which it's about Noriega. It concludes with Noriega's quote, quotation marks, "I have George Bush by the balls." This may help you understand why, of all the dictators in the world, George Bush has a fixation on Noriega. He's got a problem there. He's got to keep the pressure on Noriega. Else, if Noriega ever got some credibility working, who knows what might happen in our own legal system up here. I worked for George Bush personally at the end of the Angolan operation when he was CIA director in 1976. We had broken the law and we had perjured ourselves to cover it up. We being Henry Kissinger and Bill Colby, mostly me being in a staff position under them. Bush's policies were not to find out the truth and punish the perpetrators and clean up the CIA. It was to cover for us. He went to the congressional committees and said, I wasn't here, but these nice people I'm meeting, he's a very nice person, by the way. He would walk down the hall shaking our hands saying, hello, I'm George Bush, and I want you to know I love being here working with all these fine people in the CIA. And we were saying, huh? I mean, this is the CIA director, is supposed to have kind of an aura, you know. But he was going to the Congress saying, I can't believe that these nice people out there would do the things that you're alleging, but I'll check. And then he had a young attorney sent down to my office to go through my files to purge them of documents that would prove exactly what they were accusing us of. And then he went back to them and said, we've checked, there are no files in the agency that prove anything like you're alleging. Therefore, you can drop it, and they did. J. Edgar Hoover.
All right, folks. That is that's pretty much all I got. I have probably 3 hours of other stuff pulled up that I wanted to talk about tonight that I'm just not going to get to. It's so much other stuff. I wanted to talk about this attack that took place in Canada, this car attack that was at the some festival, some Filipino festival. A guy ran over a bunch of people. It was like 8 to 11 people dead after that. I wanted to talk about Iran with the explosions that happened over there, the chemical explosions, allegedly. Wanted to talk about a bunch of stuff that was. You guys hear about this sting operation? So this from Libs of TikTok. Over 100 illegals arrested in a DIA sting operation targeting an illegal underground nightclub in Colorado Springs. The DEA says there was drug trafficking, prostitution, crimes of violence, and weapons seized. Over a dozen active duty military members were working as armed security or attending the club. Members of the Trende Aragua, I think that's how you pronounce it, MS-13 and Hell's Angels were also attending this club. So that was something I wanted to talk about. And then I want to talk about the sewage water that's being released from Mexico and it's just pouring into San Diego and going all up the Southern California coast. I want to talk a little bit about San Francisco, a little bit about Oakland, a little bit about LA, all sorts of other stuff that I wanted to talk about. So not going to get to it. Not going to get to it tonight, folks. I might have to do another show maybe tomorrow. Maybe I'll just do another show tomorrow. I don't know. The only one that's going to be consistent right now is going to be the Sunday night show. So Sunday nights at 7. I meant to do a show last Thursday, but that's when my dog started. No, there she is. Scarlett, you gonna say hi? Scarlett, hey, stop licking. Don't do that. You guys see my sweet little pit bull down here? She's the sweetest dog on earth. And I'm glad she's okay. So yeah, I'll have to do another show. Hopefully tomorrow night. Let's see. Northside, F that coach, all night stream. Let's go. I got to work in the morning, man. I got to be up at like 4:35 if I hit snooze too many times. So yeah, that's all I got tonight, folks. I will be back next Sunday for sure at 7, but I'm gonna try to do a stream tomorrow night. And I know I always say that, and I end up flaking out because I'm a flaky McFlakerson. But I'm glad you guys hang out. Glad you guys enjoy the show. Got a lot of loyal views. Well, not a lot, but there's a handful of loyal people out there that watch the show regularly, and I'm doing my best over here. I'm not a professional podcaster or anything, but that's also how you know that I'm not compromised. I'm not getting a check from anybody. Sort of wish I was, but so you're gonna hear it straight from straight as I can be with stuff. Pardon my tinfoil theories and things, but I just try to call them like I see them. So I'm glad you guys hung out. I'm glad you guys are here. Maddie Bracco, enough what? You tell me to shut up? Tell me to shut up, Maddie? I get it if you are. I understand. All right. Well, I think that's it. Folks. I'm all caught up with the chat. And yeah, make sure if you're still watching, like, subscribe, share. If you're watching on Twitter, repost the episode, all that good stuff. Oh, you are enough. You are enough, Maddie Bracco. Thank you. Yes, you absolutely are enough. I mean, I actually kind of hope I never get like huge. I doubt I ever will get like huge like Tim Pool's show did, because then things just start getting weird. People get compromised. I like to think that I'm unable to be compromised, but I'm sure. I'm not going to say Tim Pool's compromised, but he certainly stays away from certain subjects. So. All right, I'll leave it at that, folks. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. But before we get out of here, you know how we do it. Got to tell a joke from the greatest book ever written, The Truth About Chuck Norris. What do we have tonight? For all 4 of you guys that are still watching. All right. Okay, here we go. Chuck Norris joke of the evening. Chuck Norris does not hunt because the word hunting implies the possibility of failure. Chuck Norris goes killing. And on that note, stay CaliBased.